so happy we alive.
This complex of buildings, an edifice complex, as it were, larger than life scale, and it really sends a message to us citizens about how small and inconsequential we are as the target populations out there for their deliberations here in DC. And this vast bureaucracy, they really toady and kiss up to the Capitol Hill, because that's from whence flows all the appropriations. And so
let me interrupt you for a second and say this. Now, back in Kentuckiana, where we're from, it's kind of the greater Louisville area. We call it Kentuckiana. And back there's a lot of people who are in a lot of suffering from any number of medical conditions.
Like side effects of nicotine poisoning from your other industry back there in Louisville.
Hey, all things in moderation.
Well, you can carry moderation to excess.
Sorry. So anyway, right now, on the same day, at the same time, in the San Francisco area, say, the same analogous group of people are able, to some extent, to have marijuana available to them for the treatment of their aches and pains and so forth. Is that true? Is there a disparate here? I mean, in Kentuckiana, patients are scared to death. The propaganda war has been so successful.
It's poisoned their minds.
People are paranoid, to the extreme. It's hard to even imagine physicians. I mean, with every other commercial on TV being a subsidy of some law firm, it's hard to imagine physicians who I personally don't associate with drug use with physicians. I associate people who are, in a sense, many of whom are exposing themselves to life and death illnesses in the treatment of their patients because of the more communicable diseases that exist now. But these same physicians have their hands tied to an extent. I don't know how you've been able to be who you are and what price you've paid for your candor. But these physicians would if they said anything, it would be, hey, I'm liable for a lawsuit because I may have suggested a patient use marijuana, or I was seen using marijuana myself. It's like an extreme paranoia.
No, it's realism, given the toxic premises that you're operating under.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of like, but hey, guess what? There's something outside the cave. And I'd like to report back to you guys in the cave here. This is just very, very much like Plato's cave. How do you explain to the people back there who have never seen the light? I mean, I don't like to get hyperbolic or chauvinistic excessively, but what impresses me in interacting with the people back here at the normal conference is the fact that they're still in the cave, and we've moved outside the cave maybe a few feet. But nevertheless, outside the cave, and again, back to this, who do you think you are? And, well, I'm friends with certain key politicians in certain unnamed Bay Area cities. I also contributed to the Bill Lockyer campaign, and I go to the fundraiser events so I can talk to the Attorney General personally, who's committed to obey our new law. And so it's this change of premises of we won, we've got this new law, and how do we then avail ourselves of it? And this totally changes relationships as people make the transition from self-perception as criminals and the representative of government representing something cooperative instead of coercive and intimidating. When we can approach government to the deliberative bodies and say, hey, we have this new law, what is your plan of compliance? When we go to the police and say, where are your training and information bulletins and general orders? These are products of appropriate governance. What we've discovered is this next series of problems of the disconnect frequently between different deliberative bodies or different parts of government that we may have. For example, in Berkeley, a great shall we say, progressive city council that unfortunately cannot get many of its policies implemented by the police department, who are operating to their own authority, saying, well, we're listening to the federal government and we're not paying attention to your deliberations. And they're elegant art forms of resisting change endemically because of these behind-the-scenes covens. They network, and they're very good at losing paper when it's appropriate. So some communication somehow doesn't get from point A to point B. We don't know how it is.
Well, let me ask you this. If you say we're here and you're addressing the Floyd County Medical Society back in Kentucky, and you were and you had some message for them regarding your experience with prescribing marijuana for medical conditions, what would you have to say to the physician community? I mean, most of these people are very, just great. I mean, people that I know personally and think a lot of. And I have no idea what they think about it, because it's something that we would never even talk about.
Yeah,
I mean,
see, it's handled just like reproductive information used to be talked about in the 50s. I got semi-busted by the medical authorities in this intern rotation when I was in the OBGYN service at a Catholic hospital, and they were going to impose their values on me, saying that I couldn't prescribe birth control at their 6 weeks postpartum checkup. And I said, excuse me, this is good medicine, so I told my supervising resident, yes, I will. You'll never hear me ever talk about birth control again to patients in postpartum clinic. So I had a 4x6 card with messages in both English and Spanish saying, I can't talk about this, but do you? And well, it's really come out of the closet in California, and I'm really pleased about this. I'm pleased to say that the findings that were in the medical literature before 1937 have been confirmed by my personal observations on over 3,500 patients. And I'm a townie, I'm not a gownie. I'm a practitioner out in the community and not in some ivory tower. And so this is medical reality. It is a safer drug for the management of chronic illnesses. It is an immunomodulator, anti-inflammatory. It is a mood modulator. It is an antispasmodic, and a great substitute for other harmful medications. Cannabis can be used to supplement the effects of other antidepressants or other anti-anxiety drugs, but will successfully substitute for benzodiazepines and other sedatives and give people with chronic pain or serious conditions relief without excessive sedation. I'm looking forward to its being introduced to nursing homes in California, and we're having a protocol coming down from the Department of Health Services for just that. I've had a case already where relatives have been medicating their resident from the nursing home who had been cachectic and uncontrollably losing weight. This 87-year-old retired engineer and disabled man was successfully treated, but the nursing home was getting nervous that he wasn't covered by the physician's statement of recommendation.